And it's a lot of work that our presenters put into this. So this week we're going to hear from Jim Parker with Capitalist Pigs. I do not eat pork, but I'm looking forward to being convinced by Jim that if I were, this would be the type of pork that I would eat. And we're streaming this on Facebook Live as well. We try and do that for many of our presentations. So if you want to watch this afterward or share with people who weren't able to come today, you can find us on One Million Cups Anchorage on Facebook. All right, with that, we'll give it to Jim.
All right, well, thank you. Yeah, that's kind of a challenge, but believe me, pork is, it's kind of misunderstood. I spent a lot of time in Europe. I was about 3 years in Madrid and about 6 years up in Germany. And believe me, pork in Europe is a different thing, different quality, and that's what we're trying to work on here, all through a nonprofit. But I'll get to that. But again, I mean, what a beautiful day. These guys were born just yesterday, so they are enjoying, this weather. A lot to them, believe me. This is the basic gist of it. A nonprofit that converts food destined for landfills into a valuable product. This guy here, this was Wilbur. Those are my dogs. This happened about 3 years ago. Wilbur ate nothing but spent brewer's grain. Did great. He ended up going to the VFW for a Super Bowl thing. He was, kind of a pet with us. So, but anyway, it's the circle of life, and that's how Wilbur got through it. And anyway, that's kind of like the seed for this project. I've done a few things, but mainly the teamwork here is the pigs. And again, it's not just any pigs. It's getting back to heritage breeds, pigs that will do what they're supposed to with very little input. These are not suitable for factory farms anymore. They're almost a rare breed at this point. But they are available, and that's what we're going with. Cold hardy, resilient, love to forage, and super high quality meat. A different type of meat, believe me. It's I guess it's comparable to normal pork, but it doesn't taste like pork. Doesn't quite look the same. It's a different thing. So again, trying to change the mold on that. This is the basic problem. 150 tons. It's huge. Produce, 50% ends up in the landfill. And it's beyond what we would eat, but certainly not what a pig would eat. And so that's the mechanism. The pig is sort of the tool. It's a conversion machine. It can get that product and turn it into something useful. Now, why the nonprofit? Well, you'll see as I go along, but first off, there's a lot of misconceptions with nonprofits. I mean, the NFL was a nonprofit up until just a few years ago. I teach business at UA as well, and I have a lot of students who think, nonprofit, I want to do that because it's not quite the same rigor in terms of business. You don't have to maybe apply the same standards and the same efficiency. Yes, you do. I mean, if you're going to do well, and you can also generate. You don't have to be a taker. You can actually be a giver if it's run well. So, like I say, hogs are the key. The nonprofit. When I got the grain from the brewers, when I got produce from the grocery stores, it was more a gift. I mean, fine, but it was also a waste product for them. They're going to have to pay to get that hauled away. I'm still working with the IRS. I think we're going to get there, but the concept is that just like if you give something to Goodwill or something like that, there's some value to that. And that charitable organization, 501(c)(3) can give you a voucher back. So it's a win-win. I get the feed product for free, and they get a voucher. In the end, we end up with food and cash and landfills that aren't full. Plan is scalable. You'll see some of the things I'll talk about with competition. Absolutely don't have a problem with competition. This is meant to be replicated. I mean, I'm trying to do some of the legwork in terms of some of the IRS business, some of the business model stuff, but I'm shooting for a herd of about 60 animals. That's good. That if you get more than that, you're now getting a factory farm range, disease considerations, and these guys, especially the heritage breeds, they love to root and tear up the land, which is good if you got enough land for them. But if you go with a super dense herd, I mean, now you've got a destructive wave that's going to, not do good. These guys will actually improve the land, for the rest of the farm. I've got a larger ranch that they're a part of. So spent brewer's grain, fruits, vegetables. Pigs are omnivores. They will, when they're out there rooting and grubbing, they're looking for worms, insects, some roots and stuff. But in terms of food product, I'm not looking for meat or dairy. All that's available, some of the pathogens, and frankly, some of the waste that's going to be produced with these pigs. If they're vegetarians, it's a little nicer setup. I've got 93 acres, so they got all the room in the world to knock that out. Business model, so premium product, premium price. It's not a race to the bottom. We're not trying to produce, sausage and cheap pork. There's plenty of those people. That's not what we're doing. So, but the marketing attributes, the free range, the sustainable, the Alaska grown, and just the premium product, that's where we're going to get it. And we're looking to try and achieve twice the market price, which I think is doable. People will do that, especially in the higher end restaurants and people who know and appreciate a premium product. The reason why hogs, 333. Daisy, the sow there in the first picture, she had a litter yesterday. She'll wean those pigs in about 21 days, and maybe a month later she'll be bred again, and she'll have another litter in the fall. She had 9 yesterday, probably 9 again in the fall. If you're trying to do that with beef cattle, or I've had experience with reindeer, you're looking at 1 baby a year, and your feed costs run through the roof in Alaska because you have to take them over the winter. These guys will go over the winter, but they'll go over the winter on their own. They don't need special shelter, cold tolerant. They're good. The nonprofit, I got into that a little bit about how it still needs to be run perfectly in terms of you can't slack on any of the business aspects, the management. How do we maintain these advantages? Like I say, this is meant to be replicated. A factory farm, they wouldn't want to get into this in terms of it. It would be too difficult probably for them to some of the big breweries do supplement some of the cattle companies, but not to the same scale, and certainly not on a nonprofit level. So again, we're not out to compete with the factory farms. We can't meet that kind of volume, nor do we care to. Local mid-sized farmers, unfortunately, a lot of the people I know who are raising mid-sized herds, 300 to 400 animals here in Alaska, they're trying to compete with the lower 48, which is not what we're trying to do. They're trying to raise the same breeds. Those little piglets that arrived yesterday, they come out with fur. They're good to go. They're very little input on my part. I mean, come out in the morning and the pigs are there. Other pigs where they don't have those natural attributes anymore, literally you have to put sunscreen on them because they're going to be out in the sun. There's problems with farrowing. There's just a lot of issues that make it more difficult. The small scale high-end farmers, if we could convert those folks to the nonprofit model, that's where Daisy came from. Daisy came from down in Homer, from Blood, Sweat, and Food Farms. Excellent thing, but excellent business. Same sort of market, but they're still either paying for their feed or taking donations. In terms of rollout, we're already working on that. We're trying to work on this in terms of tracking Daisy's litter as they grow. I've made quite a few contacts with some of the folks in the restaurant industry when I was working with the reindeer projects. That is a huge untapped resource. Same sort of animal, although not as productive. They only have 1 baby a year, but I mean, there's literally 10,000 reindeer in one village, but it's 300 miles off the road system. It's got to be USDA inspected to be sold in a restaurant. There's a lot of logistical problems. But anyway, through that, there certainly was a market for that product, but not at a price and not with the USDA that could be delivered. So we'll work from that. Source of the experience, again, the classic marketing thing. You don't sell the bacon, you sell the sizzle. All those other attributes in addition to the quality of the product. There will be a commercial arm to this in terms of the Capitalist Pigs marketing. We're still working on a logo for that. It's kind of a Che Guevara with pig features type thing, but I'm not an artist. but that would provide us the flexibility of a totally separate company to pursue that part of the business and keep us out of trouble with the IRS in terms of any expenditures that are a little bit on the dubious side would fall to the marketing side rather than the nonprofit to jeopardize that status. Current status, we are already incorporated. Going back and forth with the IRS, they need a little bit more information, but again, it's not that big a deal. I think we're going to be able to get this worked out. We also are going to probably be incorporating another breed, Berkshires. They're coming in the fall from North Pole. That sow's already been bred. And anyway, once you get the sows rolling, you get 3 or 4 sows rolling, and you will generate a substantial number of animals. Looking at spring of 2020, processing, supply chain. It's fairly nice as a farmer where you actually just turn the animals over to the processor. So there will be none of that done on our facility. That will happen at Mount McKinley Meats. Also the supply chain, the cold chain, all the things that restaurant distribution. We will work with the customers, but the delivery will be done through normal food supply channels. And like I say, it's a 93-acre ranch. We have a few other things going on. Some horses, about 700 pheasant right now. Vizslas, I breed Vizslas, but I also end up with rescues now and then. Most of these, or some of these, have been rehomed, and then I've got a few primaries. But any questions on the concept itself?